The last part that you need to know about an introduction to plants is something that we will use throughout the course, this botany course, and that is the fact that all seed-bearing plants are separated into two groups. The first group is something which is called monocotyledonous or monocot plants, and here we refer mainly to the grasses. The second group is something which is called dicotyledonous plants or dicot plants, and here we refer to trees and non-herbaceous species. The differences are not for exam purposes, but you need to know the differences when we talk about any other work that we'll be doing in this course. So for example, just if we look at the outside structure of a root, for example, you'll have to know the differences between a monocotyledonous root and a dicotyledonous root. So if we look at the differences between the two, the first difference is also encapsulated into their names. The first one is when we look at the seed. In monocotyledonous plants or grasses, there is only one cotyledon in the seed. A cotyledon is something that feeds the seed when it starts to germinate. So mono means one. So in monocotyledonous plants, one cotyledon in the seed. While in dicotyledonous plants like beans, for example, there is two cotyledons inside the seed. The second difference between the two groups lies in their floral leaves or their flowers. In monocotyledonous plants, the floral leaves are always 3 or in multiples of 3, so 6 or 9, for example. While in dicotyledonous plants, there is always 4 or 5 floral leaves or multiples of 4 or 5. The third difference is within the external structure of the leaves. In monocot plants or grasses, it is always long, narrow leaves, and the vascular tissue or the part that transports the waters and the sugars are also always parallel inside that leaf. While in a dicotyledonous plants, that vascular tissue or the veins are always net veined or reticulately veined. The last difference between these two groups lies within the stems. You can't see that with the naked eye, and that lies in the fact that the vascular bundles or that veins in the stem is distributed throughout that stem, while in dicotyledonous plants the vascular bundles or the transport tissue is organized in a circle within the stem. So just to focus yourself for the rest of the botany course is that the content that we'll be looking at. The first thing is what we call anatomy, or the study of the internal structure of plants. Here we'll be looking at the individual cells and the way that cells are grouped to form tissue and eventually plant organs. So that is the inside part of the plant. Then we'll also look at the outside structure or external structure or morphology of plants. Again, we'll look at the different organs, but we'll look at the external structure. And we'll focus more on flowers and the production of seed or reproduction, because for agricultural purposes, reproduction of plants is one of the most important ways in which the world is fed. Then we'll also look at physiology. Physiology is the study of all the processes that takes place within an organism. In this case, we'll be looking at things like photosynthesis and the way that those sugars are structured to form things like starch, and then also the way that the starch is used by the plants to produce their own energy for growth. And then the last part of the botany course that you'll also be using in field management next year is taxonomy, or the naming of different plants.